Alright guys, actually get to work with the shop doors open today. Kind of a special thing. It's cold as shit, but at least it's sunny and pretty. So, today and this weekend, we're going to be installing the new dash in this thing. So, GlazzKraft carbon fiber dash. Took 3 weeks or so to get here. Absolutely beautiful piece. So far I have not been able to see a single blemish on this thing. The weave looks absolutely perfect. Once again, looks a little too nice to be on a race car because it's going to get beat on, but that's okay. So this up here, little panel, right, connects with 4 Zeus fasteners. This is where the brake reservoir will be hidden, and the fuse block, that's where that'll be hidden. This is the center console. It also attaches with 2 Zeus fasteners and stuff, and then it'll attach right there, right in front of the shifter. But we're gonna be getting that bad boy installed because I need to get the wiring in this thing done. And what's holding up the wiring is I don't know where I can mount my breaker, relay, and fuse block up here. So I know that most of you are probably going to be starting with a car that's entirely together. Unfortunately, I don't think I have a lot of footage about how to get to this point, but I do have another car that is totally together, and I do remember a good chunk of it. So if you have a windshield, that'll need to come off, and then also you'll need to take this front clip off, right? Which I'm assuming if you have an X3 and you're doing this, you've taken this front clip off a bunch of times, right? You know, it comes off here, like this, like, I don't know, hood wing comes off with it all the way over there, right? And the whole like front nose, like that whole thing comes off together, right? So you're gonna need to take that off, okay? It's a super common thing to have to do. Then you're gonna have to take off each of these sides, right? So this fastener will come out when you take this hood, whole front end part off, right? But you'll also need to take out this fastener, this, all the way down, okay? And there's one hiding right up underneath here that you'll have to get out as well. All right, now moving to the inside. Oh yeah, straight out of a horror movie. You'll have a fastener here that you'll need to remove, and it makes it, I'm kind of guessing it'll make it easier. It's only one more fastener. Remove this fastener down here. You can take this kick panel out too. That should allow you to take out this whole side panel right here, okay? Then on the other side, you're gonna have the same thing, right? You're gonna have the same fasteners to undo. However, you're gonna have to undo the filler neck, okay? So over on this side, oh yeah, over on this side, you're gonna need to take out the glove box. Okay, in order to take the glove box out, right, open it up, and then you're gonna basically just pull the top of this thing off, open it up to almost 90 degrees, and then just pull it straight out, right? It basically comes loose, you know, like these back parts right here, like let go and comes out. There'll be 2 screws down on the bottom of this thing that you'll need to take out, okay? And there'll be, well, they're not 2 screws, they're 2 like push pin thingies. And then there's 2 screws right here that you need to take out. This insert will then come out, okay? So you'll need to take that out. Then you can undo these screws here, right? And once you have that stuff out, you can then get to the hose clamp that holds this filler neck on, okay? I'll show you that filler neck hose clamp on mine here in a second. So you'll also, I think, this is the part that I'm not sure of yet, you'll also need to take off, I think, this under part of the dash, okay, which is fairly easy, right? There's a couple push pins over there, and then there's a couple of screws over here that you'll need to take out too, like this one right here, okay? So let's go back over and let's look at mine so you can see the filler neck that you're gonna have to take off. That plasma table is paying for itself every freaking day. So underneath that side cover, right? So what you saw is basically this much of it, like that. Okay, there's this big nut under here that you'll need to take off, and you'll need to take this hose clamp off. So if you take this hose clamp off, you can leave this filler neck right here like this. Come on, work it out. Right, you can leave this in your side panel if you want. I did not want to. So you undo this lock nut that's on the back side, and then you can take this out of the side panel, put your lock nut back on, and then you can plug the gas tank hole again. I just did that because I didn't want any, you know, crap getting in there. So once you have that off, right, then you can take off this upper part of your dash. Okay, so in order to do that, you're gonna have a couple push pins here, right? You may as well undo the two on the other side as well. Okay, and then let's go back over to Garrett's. Right, so you'll have on the passenger side, or you'll have these two push pins to take out, one there, one there. You'll have those on driver and passenger, and on the driver's side there's a sneaky one like right underneath here. I have no idea how to get it apart. Mine, it actually just was already apart. I don't know why. I think under here, I think you can get to it and pull it out, but I'm not sure on that one. That's the only one I'm not sure about. You may have to pop the switch out in order to get it out. Okay, so once you have this center console undone, over here, maybe, well, you can see one fastener. Basically, you have these fasteners right up here around the edge at the base of the windshield, right? There's one right there at the tip of my finger, right? There's one right here. You might be able to see it right there at the tip of my finger. Barely can see it, right? And there's a couple of those along the front, right? There's like 4 of those along the front on the driver and like 4 along the passenger. Okay, now, like I said, first thing you're gonna do is remove the windshield. Once that's removed, right, then you can remove this whole front panel here. Okay, right, this whole like dash piece will come out, right? Like that side will come out, and then this side should come out as well. That is basically the stage where I'm at over here. Right, so I already got this top dash piece off. You can leave your fuel tank connected. So, oh, you can see the fasteners right here. So I guess there's 3 that you have to undo, right? And then these push pins right here and right there. And then that should get this whole thing loose. Okay, then you're gonna need to take off the computer stuff on the underside of here, right? And you're gonna need to remove the fuse block and undo your 2 brake reservoirs. Okay, so I'll do that here in a little bit, and then I'll kind of show you guys once I figure out exactly how. Then there is a fastener right there, and there's a fastener right there you need to take out. That allows you to get this whole dash part, this whole dash panel nice and loose. Okay, so once you have that loose, right, then I'm pretty sure at this stage the only thing that's holding this in is the wiring to the switches and that wiring that's up underneath there for the fuse block. Okay, the next thing that I'm going to do here in just a second, once I pause this, is on the back side of the gauge cluster, right down here, there's 2 more Torx screws, right? One right there and one like right there. Okay, undo both of those. Your gauge cluster should be able to come off. Then on the front face of it, there were 4 Phillips head screws, right? You're going to take those out. Then this front part, here, set you guys down. Okay, then the front face of the gauge cluster will come off. Then you can unplug the connector on the back side. All right, unplug that connector, you can set this bad boy aside. It's almost there. There are underneath the dash of driver's side, right, connecting this, like, I don't know, I think there's like a little computer in here and stuff and little fuse block and stuff, right? So there's 4 screws connecting this to the underside. Okay, they're just screws. Here's one of them, just an 8 mil, right, going into the plastic. Yeah, if you just undo enough stuff, it's easy to take it out. Piece of cake. Always gotta have race now while you're working on race car shit. Okay, so in order to get the brake reservoirs out, you have to undo a T25 Torx here, T25 Torx here, and then these reservoirs just pop up. There is a pin on the bottom of it. You can see right there, that little nubby, right? It goes in there, so you know, so it didn't just like kind of like fall right over and stuff. I did have to like kind of like pull up a little bit. So for everybody's reference, when I go to put this thing back together and you go to put yours back together, this one over here is the front brakes. This one over here is the rear brakes. Yeah, I labeled my caps a while back. So now for getting the fuse block off, right? So you're gonna pry this out a little bit, while at the same time you're going to push up from back here, right? Just kind of push up on the underside of this fuse block with your fingers, okay? And then it will, like, you have to do that on this side and on that side, and then it'll just pop up and out, okay? So then at that point, the only thing that I think now holding this center part in is all the wiring and switches and all that stuff. So if you still have the stock center console, I'm pretty sure you just have to undo these two bottom screws right here, and then this whole like front face will come out, right? The start stop switch you'll have to undo also, just to unplug that, you know, for now. So first thing I did is took out the radios that were sitting here. After that, I went through and I started unplugging all the switches, and I started labeling all of them, right? That way I would just know where everything, you know, goes back to. Otherwise, I think this thing is ready to come out now. Okay, hot dang. That was not a pain in the butt at all. But I think I got a little bit of wiring stuff I want to get cleaned up and everything else. But I mean, I might try to stick the dash in here and just see what it looks like. So, yeah, this is stressful. Wires everywhere, but it's gonna be worth it. So, all right. So as you can see, I've had a few changes now. So I got these front firewall panels bolted on, and I got the upper, I don't know what you'd call these, like the front cowl, I guess, bolted on. I did have these side, you know, fenders on. Basically I was trying to kind of mock it all up so that I could, you know, have a good understanding of how this all needs to go together. That way I could take it all apart, you know, and I would be able to show you guys on video and know exactly what needs to happen step by step. Well, in doing that, I learned that the dash hits right under here. That's why I put a bunch of blue tape on here. You can see right here where it rubbed. So the front of it is almost in where it needs to go. Like the driver's side, like that right there is pretty much dialed. Over here on the passenger side, it still needs to come forward, like towards you is forward, towards the front of the car more, right? So this lip right here, so I can make it more pronounced, right? That lip needs to come down to like here. Well, the dash is already hitting there. And when you come around here to the inside, the steering column is all the way down and it's hitting, right? Like there's no way I can drive like that. And when you have the side, I don't know, the side like fenders on it, basically this line right here, I'll call this, you know, like a body line, should line up like with the body line on the fender. But right now it's like 3 inches too low, and like that right there, that is all flex in the carbon, and I like that's not 3 inches of movement up. So unfortunately I gotta cut something. Is basically cut this tube out and then move it up, right? So instead of, you know, being down here, right, make it so instead of welding to here, it would weld like a full tube width up. That would give us enough room. And then also I'd have to, I could probably leave the tops welded, but I'd have to, coat the bottom of these tubes just to allow me to slide it up a little bit, which I think that's kind of like option B. I think option A is going to be I'm going to leave this all welded in together right now. I'm going to remake this bottom tube, except instead of starting my bend like here, I'm going to start it like up here, right? So it'll shoot across up here more, right? Because as it is sometimes, like when you're trying to spot rocks and stuff like that, this corner tube, I don't want this any higher. It's kind of a pain in the butt as it is, and it'll be a nightmare if it goes higher. So I think if I can shoot this across, up here, if I basically could go like a full tube width up, right? This is 1 3/4. So I can go up, 1 3/4. I think that would be pretty dialed. Got the ends of the tubes all cleaned up and stuff and ready to be welded, and then got this center bar all tacked together with our the tube couplers in there. So the way you can do this to make sure that this stays straight, I just used some C-channel, as you can see, right? And I clamped it in there. You can also use angle iron as well. That would have been my first choice, but the C-channel actually worked out super good in this case. So that's how you can kind of keep it nice and straight. All I did, so I welded this center section together, and then I just did 2 tacks on each side right here just to hold that, hold the whole thing. So we're gonna do one final last test fit. I'm gonna tack it in there, and we're gonna see if the dash fits, and after that we're gonna weld that shit. So pretty happy with how it fits. Believe it or not, probably can't tell, but underneath here on these ridges there's actually room. The only place it touches is right here, and we're gonna just put some foam there. So time to start welding. Okay, so I think these 2 fuse blocks, then the brake reservoirs, I think those are gonna go right here in the center. And then this computer, I'm gonna make a bracket that is gonna basically weld or bolt to this bar right here, and it will put it, right here next to the steering column brace. That way you can unplug it from the bottom, and you'd be able to unbolt it and take it out down through the bottom. That way you don't have to take the dash out. Before, you'd have had to take the dash out in order to get that out. So guys, for you, it's probably been like 10 seconds. For me, it's been like 10 hours. So finally, my God, have this whole bracket setup finished. So I'm pretty sure this is the like little relay harness for the smart lock diff. So have that held in. There's a riv nut on the bottom. That way the like little hatch thing, I think, comes like right here. So I can get to that riv nut, and then if needed, I can pull that little panel off. I can get to that bolt, pull it out, and then I can get this out. This fuse box, basically the dash will pretty much touch it almost. It gets really close, but I can pull it off and pull it out of, a little bit, so I can, get to whatever I need in here, right? And then on the underside of that little cover, I'm going to put a couple strips of foam tape, so it'll just kind of just put ever so slight pressure on this, mainly just to keep it from coming out. I mean, I really don't think I need to, but never know. So these 2, oh my gosh, the brake reservoirs are held in basically just like stock, using the nut clip and stuff like that. This over here is another computer module that was mounted like basically like right here up under the dash, and so I made this accessible from underneath. So you can take this fastener out underneath, and then there's one more right back here that you probably can't tell, but right back here at the opposite corner, right? And you can take both those out from underneath, unplug it, and you could get this out without having to take the dash out. It'd be a royal pain in the butt, but it is possible. So now I'm just starting to go through and I'm slowly cleaning up all the wiring and stuff like that, getting stuff, you know, clamped in and held in, you know, how I want it to be. Yes, these like little clip thingies that, you know, they use from the factory, yep, they kind of work, but a P-clamp, it's bulletproof to me. So, alright guys, so the next step for our dash installation is we need to cut out everything. So pretty much have all this stuff laid out, you know, iPad, you know, maybe put a small iPad there because we do use two. We'll use the big one for racing, and then we won't use that for just play riding. We'll put one in the center that's a little smaller, but we'll see. You know, USB charger there, you know, our gauges, the two blue big strips right there for switch panels and stuff. We bought these 8 switch, you know, switch panels stuff just to put in there. So we'll see how it all fits. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut out the most important stuff first, right? Which is the gauge cluster, start stop button, key. Those are like mission critical, right? I also am going to do the rugged radios down there just because I know for sure that's where that's going to go. So for doing the gauge cluster, what I did is I made a little template. So basically pulled the, you know, gauge cluster out of this front fascia, right? You just have to pop these little clips right here off. So, line up our 2 buttons again. Right, so that'll clip on there. So I basically pulled that off, flipped it upside down, traced it out on this piece of paper. So this piece of paper doesn't quite fit, you know, over this. It's very, very, very tight. So I'm going to cut it out like this. That way I can then go back through with a Dremel, you know, and kind of massage it and get it, you know, just perfect, right? Because I want it to be just barely big enough for this to slide through. Today's Monday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I was cranking on wiring all weekend. Made several harnesses. Basically got, you know, everything run up behind the dash. Got the gauges all connected up. You know, all the switches connected up. This is gonna just be like a blank block off plate right here. This, I'm still waiting on the rocker switch for this one. And then this over here is for the siren. So need to wire that up today. Otherwise, dare I say, I think gonna be able to start this thing today. So, well, just tried to start it, no dice. Apparently, that is a thing on the carbon fiber dash. It blocks the RFID signal, I guess, like between the key and the, I don't know, whatever this receptacle is. So had it installed right here, right? See the hole where the key was. Basically, I'd press the button to start it, and it would not do anything, right? Like, you know, you press the button to turn on like the gauges and all that stuff, and like all that worked fine. But when you go to press the button to start it, it wouldn't do anything. So I undid it, you know, let it dangle. It starts right up. So you need to know when you do this dash. That's a thing. So don't go and drill a hole in it for the key like I did, because now I gotta find a way to plug it that doesn't look like dog shit. Pretty much have everything all buttoned up. So got the radio installed. Finally was able to get the switches all, you know, switch panels secured in there and stuff. The key currently is literally just zip tied up underneath the dash. Yeah, carbon fiber dash blocks the RFID chip and receiver signal. So yeah, for right now, just gonna run the zip tie. Probably next week or week after, I don't know. I need a break, but probably here shortly I will, you know, figure out something and stuff, and you guys will no doubt see it. But for right now, that's what's going on. So there you go. The GlazzKraft dash is installed. And holy God, was that a project. I'm not gonna lie, I thought it would be like, you know, realistically I was like, you get it on a Friday, open it up, you know, ooh and on it, hit it hard Saturday, you'll have it done late Saturday night. Not a freaking chance. Holy shit. Yeah, maybe if you just like went crazy with a Sawzall, you could have it done in a day. It looked like shit, but yeah, I am beyond tired. I never thought I'd get burnt out working on stuff like this, but like, what, this is week 10 of like 10-hour days straight, and I'm ready to be done. I want to go drive this damn thing. I want to go play with it. Tired of not getting to play with it. So, but hopefully tomorrow, maybe not tomorrow, maybe Sunday.